He's Mike Florio from ProFootballTalk.com, also NBC Sports. When Manti Te'o goes to the Combine after the Super Bowl, what kind of questions come up in these interviews?
Everything and anything, and these teams will do their own investigations into what happened, far more detailed than what we now know Notre Dame did, which was essentially nothing. They didn't talk to anybody. They just did an internet search to try to get to the bottom of what happened. They'll know exactly what happened. They'll ask him questions they know the answer to. They'll see what he says. They'll watch how he handles himself. I've heard stories of assistant coaches getting in guys' faces and yelling at them like drill sergeants just to see how they react. How do you handle yourself under stress?
Well, remember,
only got at the Combine 15 minutes per player, so you really got to get to it right away and make the most out of that time.
But, Mike, remember Des Bryant in the Miami Dolphins talked about his mom being a prostitute.
Oh, I know, and there's lines that you can cross, and you can get yourself criticized publicly. Now, the problem is if Manti Te'o gets roughed up in these interviews, he's got to counter this image now that he's Forrest Gump. So it doesn't help him to go out and complain about anything that happens to him. I think in his mind, he's going to toughen his skin, and he's going to take whatever comes his way, and he's going to show these teams that he's ready to play at the NFL level, mentally, physically, and in every way. And so whatever anyone asks him, I don't think Te'o is going to be the person who's complaining about it.
Does this affect his draft stock?
Well, it could cause some teams to have second thoughts, but all these teams think so differently. And when we see what happened last year with Vontaze Burfict, the Arizona State linebacker, who just had a horrible combine, horrible on-field, horrible off-field, fell off the board, wasn't drafted. He was one of the best rookie linebackers last season for the Cincinnati Bengals. So there will be a team that looks at this stuff and says, I don't care. And we'll bring this guy in, and we'll work with them. And if we give him a chance, and if he was loyal to somebody who didn't exist, he's going to be even more loyal to us if we show loyalty to him.
He's Mike Florio from ProFootballTalk.com. The importance of the Pro Bowl, Peyton Manning speaking out. Arian Foster says he sees both sides of this, but the commissioner's not the one getting tackled in a meaningless game.
Well, think about this. You get through an entire season, regular season, and for some of these players, postseason games, and you're healthy enough to put on the gear and go out and play. And you tear an ACL, and people say, don't be so pessimistic. They tear ACLs all the time. Wes Welker tore an ACL non-contact, and he's not going to this Pro Bowl because he's going to be a free agent in 6 or 7 weeks. You get to this moment in the year where you're ready to embark on your off-season. You don't want to spend your off-season rehabilitating an injury, having surgery, having your free agency value plummet because now you've got a broken leg that no one wants to pay you until they know how it heals. So there is a philosophical divide here. And just trying to goad these guys and to go out and play hard and say, we're going to take the Pro Bowl away if you don't play harder, that doesn't address the risk that these players are taking for a completely meaningless game.
The Super Bowl in New York City next year, it's starting to heat up, I guess. I should say pun intended. But now everybody's starting to get nervous that we're a year away from a Super Bowl being played outdoors in the elements. Even though you have the NFC, AFC games, they're played in the elements. Now, you had NFC in a dome, but New England with the wind against the Ravens affected the game. You can't say, look, this is going to be nice. I think if you say to fans, do you care about the weather on Super Bowl Sunday in a year from now? I'm going to guess they probably don't. I think this is more of a media creation than it is a fan creation.
Well, think of the percentage of people who are going to consume the Super Bowl by sitting at home. It doesn't matter where it's played, when it's played, as long as it looks the same as any other game. 99.99999% of the fans don't care. This affects the people who attend the game, and you're paying good money to attend the game, and you don't want to see the outcome decided by some freak weather event. But 2 years ago, when we had to postpone that Sunday night game between the Vikings and the Eagles to a Tuesday night because of a blizzard, I asked the NFL then, are you having any second thoughts now about having a game outdoors in February? And they said, hey, we're the ultimate reality show. And that's what this does. I think the NFL loves it that people are already starting to wring their hands about this a year in advance. People are going to talk about it. They're going to be more interested in the Super Bowl. They say, what's the weather going to be? It creates more and more buzz around the event. And it also unlocks a new universe of cities that can bid on the Super Bowl, and that just means better bids and more money for the NFL over the long haul.
Where's this Darrelle Revis story go over the next couple of months?
I don't know, Dan, because, look, you can say you want to try to trade him, but when the guy's going to be a free agent after this season, how do you ever get real value for Darrelle Revis when the team that trades for him has no guarantee that they're going to be able to keep him around? And how do you decide what you're going to pay him when he's coming off a torn ACL? I think what Revis is going to say is, look, I'm going to work to get back to 100%. I'm going to go out and prove that I'm still the best cornerback in the game, and then my contract's going to expire, and I'm going to go wherever I want to go after that. And the fact that the Jets are putting it out there that they're thinking about trading him, I think that's going to make him more determined, and it's going to make him more determined to leave.
Final 30 seconds. You got Sean Payton interview later today. The one question you want answered is what?
Oh, would you have won a Super Bowl without Greg Williams doing all that stuff he was doing? Now, I don't think I'll get an answer, but I'm going to ask him, do you think you would have won a Super Bowl without Greg Williams as your defensive coordinator?
Why was everybody else's penance, reduced, but his? Now, Greg Williams suspended indefinitely, but why didn't Peyton get off for good behavior here?
Well, because Peyton doesn't have a union. The coaches don't have a union. The coaches don't have the protections the players had. And the players had to fight and scratch and claw to get those protections, to get Roger Goodell to step aside. But that's the fundamental difference. Players have a union, coaches don't.
Great stuff, Mike. Thanks for joining us. I'll talk to you over the weekend.
All right, see you, buddy.
Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com, interviewing Sean Payton a little bit later on today.